Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Around the Ropes podcast YouTube exclusive right here on the Around the Ropes YouTube channel. See how easy it is, guys? Definitely go hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. Does wonders for us. Now, guys, my guest tonight making his debut on the podcast. He is a mainstay for Dynasty Wrestling, and Dynasty Wrestling does present their next show, Brace for Impact, happening on April 27th. I'm going to butcher the city name. So, Chris, when you see this, don't mock me for this, but I'm going to butcher it. Waterville, New York. Waterville. I know I butchered it.
First time you did it good.
Okay.
Waterville.
Waterville. Brace for Impact. And guys, joining the program tonight, he brings the high voltage. It's High Voltage Omar. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much, man. Just happy to be here.
Glad to finally get you on here. And before we get into what's going on in Dynasty, because there seems like to be a lot going on right now with Dynasty, I want to kind of let you tell your story. So before we get into any of that, what got you into pro wrestling? Was there a moment, a match? What kind of got you into wanting to become a pro wrestler?
My uncles, they would come over to my mom's house and they would watch the Monday Night Wars and be clicking through, Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw, and they would go back and forth whether it was making fun of certain matches or just really getting hype about it. That was our sports. We didn't do football or anything like that. It was wrestling.
Now, growing up, was it more WWE or WCW? Because I know you said you watched both. Was there one channel?
ECW, even though I wasn't allowed to watch it because I was too young. I was 12 years old. I was a big fan of Chris Jericho. He was like the first wrestler whose name I remembered or anything. It was a match versus Pitbull #2 where he became TV champ, and it was pretty good match. And I became a fan of his because he was versatile. He was with the cruiserweights. He was fighting the big guys. He was able to do it all, and he wasn't even that big himself.
Now, was that Chris Jericho match is what made you want to become a pro wrestler?
Oh yeah, just his attitude, man. It's like the charisma. You 1 second you're loving him on a microphone, and he just switches it up with one word or whatever it is, and now you're pissed off at him. He comes. And then the ability to just recreate himself over and over and over, but still at the same time be himself, was like pretty cool. He didn't really need to change up who he was, just how he spoke.
Well, for people who may not know, what we call that's a good heel.
Yeah. Someone it's not even that you hate to love or someone. It's like you love to hate at times because it's like you're sitting there waiting for the smug remark. You're waiting on it. It's like, oh, it's Chris Jericho. We all got to smile. He's awesome, but he's going to say something wrong.
I mean, we see that a lot now when with Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF in AEW. Obviously, not because he's injured, but when he was at his peak, there'd be times where you would see him come out to a crowd, everybody would cheer him, and he would say one thing, and those cheers would turn into boos in about 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah, you just need the right line.
But I think you also have to be the right person. You have to. I think the term I'm looking for is you have to have believability.
Yeah.
You can't turn around and be a good, a good guy or a good girl or a good person. Let me put it that way. Yeah. And try to get the crowd to hate you because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I know.
But so you decided to become a pro wrestler. Where did you get your training?
In Puerto Rico. My mom moved us to Puerto Rico, and I ended up working in a recycling plant, right in town. It was like a summer job for most of the teens. Yeah. And I was working with this one guy who I have seen at a couple local shows at right outside at bars and stuff in the towns. And he had said that he was a wrestler, but he didn't look like it. So I didn't really bully him, but I would always tell him, no, you're not a wrestler. Like I've always seen him outside. And I came to learn that his uncle owned a company. So I was like, nah, you help your uncle. You don't wrestle. After like 2 months, he was like, okay, come with me. And I was like, go with you where? He was like, come to practice, blah, blah, blah. And I went, and we went up to a town called Hormiguero, which in English translates to like an anthill. Very stupid. But besides that, yeah, and it was the Invader 3's training. His house, actually, he had like right outside of his house, he had a little farm, and he had this nice little shack with a ring and a couple like gym equipment and stuff like that for most of the guys. And I went Monday, Wednesday. He was surprised that I showed up Friday because Wednesday when I left, I couldn't move my neck. They were all laughing at me. They was like, basic hazing or whatnot. The guys, "Hey, he's not coming back." They had, you know, you didn't immediately like get right in the ring. They had you working out, running laps, doing exercises, trying to see, is this guy even gonna stay or is he just coming, just to mess around?
Now, did you see a difference though? Because you're saying how you got your training down in Puerto Rico, and obviously you've done a lot of wrestling, in New York. Do you notice a difference in the crowd at all between the Puerto Rico crowd and the New York crowd?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the Puerto Ricans are animals, man. They love their hardcore matches, especially when they're outside and they're at bars and they're allowed to have their drinks. They get a little wild. They get in your face. Half the time, if you're that heel and they don't like you, like I did an American role since I was bilingual, and there was like, that's going to be the easiest way to get you any crowd reaction is go out there, speak English. As soon as you speak English, that's it. They start yelling at me in Spanish. "This is Puerto Rico, speak Spanish, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, you guys want to be citizens, don't even want to learn the language, blah, blah, blah. I've had a couple beer bottles thrown at, well, not the bottles, cans thrown at me and stuff while in the ring, not even cutting promos, just mid-match. I'll just turn around, getting ready for the next thing, and here's a beer can just hitting you in the face. And then in the States, they're rowdy, they'll yell at you, but it's like they understand more of the show aspect. They're pretty much, I guess, in my eyes, they're playing their part compared to the ones in Puerto Rico, which are, they're part of the damn drama. They're in it. They paid their money. They're there. They're gonna yell. They're gonna cheer. They're gonna boo. They're gonna go home, not being able to speak.
I think it's safe to say, obviously I've never gotten a chance to experience going down to Puerto Rico. Maybe that's going to change in the next couple of months, but who knows? But the stories I have heard is the wrestling fans that are from Puerto Rico believe, everything about believe.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to put it nicely, believe that Puerto Rico is real.
Oh yeah, that's our thing. It's like we got that baseball and basketball. That's it. That's all we got.
That's
so
a nice way
yeah.
to put it.
Yeah.
Now, people know of you more with Dynasty. Were there any other companies you were a part of other than Dynasty?
Well, the short run we're not really sure. It was fun with NYCW out in Central New York and Whitesboro, which was run by Sir Patches that you said that you'll be talking to. I was part of a TOS, Test of Strength, down in New England in the Connecticut area, TAPW. There was a company as well that was Battlefront. We used to call it Booty Front because there was a whole bunch of issues that we made public and stuff like that. There was a whole fiasco about it. There's probably a couple other ones that I'm missing that I was only in like a few times, like a World of Hurt. I've done a couple shows for them, but nothing ever like super stable, like 100% all the time. I was seen once on AEW. I did NAWA down in West Virginia. But pretty much just those were like the main companies. I did a few pop-up shows in Immortal. But besides that, it was mostly Dynasty and NYCW.
My introduction to NYCW was after Patches. I call it the Jason Stone fiasco.
Oh yeah, not a
That's
great
why.
one.
Yeah, that's why.
That's what I was saying. I was like, the good part, the good years, I guess. Not what we don't speak of.
Yeah. You mentioned before you were seen on AEW. What did you do? Was it AEW Dark or was it actually AEW?
Yeah, AEW Dark.
What was that experience like?
It was fun. I mean, it was. I'm I'm a people person. I love people. Wrestling is like it's fun, the crowds and stuff. I like my solitude, but while I was being there, it was strange. It was I felt sort of like a body high. It was, like a dream. It was just weird. It was a couple of different people. I've never been one to freak out when I've seen a star that I've been a fan of. I understand that they're also a person and whatnot, after me doing it for 20 years myself. So I didn't get like super starstruck, but it was the just seeing how humble like some of them are. Like you understand they're all nice people and stuff like that. They all are also assholes and have their attitudes and their own problems. But just like one little aspect, I was standing in the catering area and I grabbed a couple things to eat and I didn't know where to sit. I'm looking and there's like, oh man, a couple stars over here. I don't want to sit with them. I don't belong sitting there. I look over here, you got Andrades and a couple other guys. I was like, I can't sit with the Lucha guys. And I'm looking, and then you would see some of them. No, come over here, come sit down here. We got a chair, and it's like, oh, and then they were all just talking to me, asking normal things, asking how was I enjoying it. It was great. You always wonder how it is in the back. You just see the chairs, the lights, the big setup, and you see the guys come out, but you never see the back, how everything is set up, where the guys are sitting, promos are being done. You got every name you can think of walking back and forth in the hallway, just joking around, sitting on boxes, one guy stretching over here, some guys on the phone video chatting his family. It was really, it felt like a real I don't know, I can't say you have that in every locker room. Not everybody has the luxury of having a big locker room, a catering area. Half of us guys get changed in big trucks or in little hallways. Yeah. So it was that
No,
different experience. It was what you wanted plus a little bit more.
no, I've been doing the show now and I know it's on a different level, comparing AEW Dark to independent wrestling, but I think you can say the same thing with a lot with independent wrestling, that people, when you go to an independent wrestling show like Dynasty or one of the 9,000 other companies that are out there, you go as a fan, you're sitting down, you're seeing them in the ring. You don't see what goes on behind the scenes as far as the booking of the mat, the booking of the show, how everything's being run, how the promoter 9 times out of 10 looks like he wants to pull his hair out of his head because
Oh yeah.
this wrestler didn't show up on time, or that something goes wrong. And I've
Yep.
gotten the luxury of getting to experience that a lot recently, especially with the show.
Yeah.
I have a total newfound respect for every aspect of independent for an independent wrestling show, not just the wrestlers in the ring, but commentators, the backstage people, because you don't see them on screen.
Oh yeah. Especially how you see how involved they are. Like they don't even have a second to just stand there and breathe.
No, no.
Ridiculous.
And I great example. I've been to a few Dynasty shows now, and obviously I don't go backstage because I'm not a wrestler of that nature. Even though if I asked certain people, they probably say go right ahead. You're
Yeah.
much of the part of the industry as we are. But I've always had this mentality of, even though I do this podcast, I cover pro wrestling, I cover independent wrestling, that area, the behind the scenes stuff, backstage stuff, that's still
Yeah.
not. I haven't earned that respect at that
Gotcha.
level yet. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And like I said, even though if I said something to Chris Envy about it, he'd probably look at me and go, "No, you can go back there. You're
Yeah,
okay."
he'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, get your ass back there. It's like, why are you asking me for?
Exactly.
He'll probably just walk away and not even answer, just look at you like
But I just think in my head, I feel like I haven't earned that
Gotcha.
honor yet. Because to me, it's like I look at it as I'm still a fan. I'm still a fan at heart who just happens to have a platform where I can cover all this stuff.
Yeah.
And get a chance to see a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like even like production stuff wise, where it's like, okay, with the camera work and everything being streamed, it's like, folks, if you ever get the opportunity, and you see the backstage correspondence, you see the commentators, I think, and I'm just saying this right now, you should at least give them a thanks, because they are
Oh yeah.
busting their ass as much as they don't get the credit they deserve. I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like they should.
Definitely. Everybody thinks, oh, it's the wrestlers, right, bro? Without them, we don't have anything. Like, yeah, you have a ring and a couple wrestlers, but who's running the rest of it? Like, no one
Exactly.
thinks of them. No one thinks of them. No one half the time doesn't even think of like the ref or anything. It's all like the wrestlers, the wrestlers. Like, oh man, there's a whole list of production people back there, whether it's, like you said, a camera person, someone doing interviews, someone who just came in and is putting, ring crew or whatnot. They're all
And
part.
I've seen that ring getting put together, and I've always said, I would do it, and I always get the comment of, it's a lot heavier than you think.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot heavier, but obviously, like I said, you're more well known for being a part of Dynasty. The fact that you've lasted this long with Chris Envy, I give you a lot of credit for.
Ah, man, it's mutual respect. We're able to speak to each other without holding anything back and understanding that it's just communication. With Chris, it's easy not to beat around the bush. When I first met him, he straight up told me, no, he goes, you don't have like real good looking gear. I was still trying to figure out what kind of character I'd be switching to like, do, since in Puerto Rico, I was just the bilingual guy, Puerto Rican American. Still, I was. So, he was straight up with me. Never, not once sugarcoated anything. Not once has he um fed me any, lies. He just tells me straight up whether I get upset or not. So that's been, our way of communication.
Well, now this brings up an interesting thing, because you're saying before how you were the bilingual character when you were down in Puerto Rico. When you came back to the States, was it your idea with the name of High Voltage Omar, or was that who came up with the idea?
No, no. So in Puerto Rico, I used to drink a lot of the Mountain Dew High Voltage, and my first name's John, and one of the guys just kept calling me, oh, John Voltage, John Voltage, John Voltage. So that was set. That I didn't even get a say in what I wanted my name to be or anything. When I came out here, one of the first major guys that I became friends with was Fox. I actually drew up a gear for him at one point when he was doing those little tapings with ROH, and we were just talking about it, and he goes, "Oh, why don't you stick with something along the lines?" And I don't exactly remember the pinpoint of where High Voltage Omar came from, but we were down in Connecticut in PWA, and we had one of the wrestlers just start chanting HVO, HVO, and I looked at him and I was like, "Oh," I was like, I kind of like the way that sounds better than the whole High Voltage Omar." And the booker was asking me, "Oh, so that's I guess what we're going to be going with." And since the abbreviation of it seemed more intriguing to me than the whole name, and people have grown to know it. You say HVO or High Voltage Omar, you know exactly what bald headed beard man everyone's talking about. So that the name's just stuck. I wanted to change it. I want to say 20 times over the last like 3 years, man. But it's the creativity for the name or the character or whatnot isn't there, just because the character is based more on an actual person per se than a made up character.
No, and I totally get that, and obviously, like I said, I want to get back to the stuff with Dynasty. Now, when did you start off with Dynasty? Because I know they were around years ago, and then I know Chris took some time off.
Oh, I want to say this was about 2016. I came in, I did a battle royal. Then me and Fox, we tagged under the name Fox and Shocks to brand off of the Rock and Sock connection. So, so we called ourselves, Fox and Shocks, and we had a little run of tag teams, and since I was doing a couple other little things with other companies, I was like on and off. I never got my opportunity for like a major like a single story till later on.
Now, obviously, Dynasty came back in October of last year for the before I even go to that, they had the reunion show the year
Yeah.
beforehand. Were you a part of that reunion show?
Yep. Yep.
What was
Yeah.
that like?
Fun show. It was fun, man. It was like one of those things like, is it really gonna happen? Is this it was a big like a one time thing. So Chris was messaging me, going, just having conversations. We wanted to make sure that the right people were booked. We wanted a good variety of the old school people that were in the dynasty with a couple people that were there before, it closed its doors for a little bit or whatnot, as well as trying to possibly give one or two new people, just that opportunity, because we've had people who were never in the company showed up to help us, with setup and everything. One guy, Yusef Addison, ended up getting an opportunity against me because my opponent wasn't there, and we were trying to scramble, trying to find the right people, like I said, and like the right pairs for the right matches, not just let's get all these guys. And I was asked who would I want to go against, and my only question was like, who are you bringing? Like, I can't just be, I want this guy, I want this one, because what if he already has plans? Like, I had wanted to go against Fury for that one, and he goes, no, he's already doing something else. I was like, all right, so don't ask me what do you want me to do. Tell me who do you have, and then I will choose off the list, or ask, hey, who wants to work Omar, and then see if there's any, body that wants to. Or I was like, why am I being, put on a spot to choose? It was every day. Did you pick someone? Did you pick someone? I was like, who the hell do you have? It was it was a mess, man, but the show itself was fun. Once we were there, everything was being put together, seeing the setup again, Chris bringing his little fancy lights because he likes having the lights off with his little, his lone little post lights on. And that's his thing. And, the going to the back. And even though I would see some of these guys at other shows, it felt like I just jumped back in time.
Is it safe to say it was almost like a crazy family reunion?
Yeah, one that you're not complaining to go to, you know. The whole drive, you're actually kind of excited to go and not like, oh man, I hope Bob doesn't say something. I'm gonna punch him in the mouth. You know what I mean? Nothing like that.
But obviously, so we had the reunion show. Then, then there's talks. So the thing was, I actually heard Dynasty was coming back. I think I started hearing about it in, I think it was August of last year was when I started hearing the rumblings. When did Chris get a hold of you and let you know that, okay, we're coming back and this isn't just gonna be a one-off?
I want to say about 2 weeks later, the people kept asking, "Oh, you guys should do another one," or not even, "When are you doing another one? When is the next one?" And since there was a demand, and Chris being Chris, he said, "Screw it, let's get another one and see if that will push us to a third one, and then after that third one, let's see if we can get a fourth one." And now, as you've seen, he's got a couple shows lined up and ready to go.
I just think to
So the
me,
demand is there.
oh, I totally agree. I think to me, and I hate to put it in this comparison, but hopefully you'll see the way I'm going with this in a second. The other big company in the same area, in the similar area where Dynasty is Immortal. And I bring them up for this reason, because you were saying for how, there's a demand for it. I think the problem is Immortal was the company that was there for the longest time. And I always said Immortal is like WWE and Dynasty is like AEW. The only difference is Dynasty isn't running footage back from 6 months ago, like AEW did.
Yeah.
But the reason I say that is Dynasty is the alternative. It's the hip new company, so to speak, even though Dynasty's been around for years. And I think that's why there was such a demand for it, was because Immortal was the only company that now with Dynasty on the map, okay, people now have other options for upstate New York to go to see independent wrestling. In that Albany, Schenectady, Utica, that area.
I could talk now.
Go ahead.
All right. So I totally understand what you mean, but and a big but that separates the two from each other is Immortal moves around more. They go to Canajoharie. They go to Schenectady. They go down to Poughkeepsie, I believe. I have not been following, but they move around. They cater to a little bit of the East and Central New York, while Dynasty caters to what I would call the 518. It caters to Albany. It caters to that 518 area. We don't get a lot of wrestling. We get, WWE comes in and now AEW, and no one has any local wrestling. Local wrestling in Albany isn't even a thing anymore. You have to travel an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to go to a wrestling show. In Albany, I've had a lot of people, oh, when is the show coming to Albany? When is the show coming to Albany? No shows coming to Albany, at least with Dynasty being around. It's, as you would say, the alternative to Immortal, but catering more to the capital region, Amsterdam, Albany, Schenectady, not even just Albany now with Waterville being an option. Who knows what's next? Cohoes, Saratoga. It's catering to the people who complain about having to drive 1, 2, 3 hours to go see, a show with their family. They don't have to worry about that because now they kind of know, hey, every month we have a show that within 30 minutes to 40, maybe 45 minutes, depending where they live, they can drive out to a show and they don't have to complain about that, 2-hour show or, oh, Immortals all the way. Not to say choose one company over the other, but if someone lives in Albany and Immortals out in Rome, New York, and you have Dynasty running in Schenectady, do you think someone's going to want to drive out, 2+ hours out to the far show? Or would they rather save a little bit of money and go to one that's more local because of the local part? Or they have their preference, they could be team, hey, I'm Immortal. I'm going to drive 2 hours, or, I'm going to enjoy the local, take the bus. Or I have a lot of friends or whatnot that live in Albany that would complain, oh, you wrestle far. And I'm like, well, it's not my fault. No one brings a show to Albany. Now there is.
I totally see what you're saying that. And, to bring up an interesting point, you also have those crazy wrestling fans who would travel 5-6 hours to.
Oh, yeah, ridiculous.
Well, Omar, that one of those crazy people are me.
What was it? I wrestled in West Virginia, and I had a guy sitting in the crowd that was from Rhode Island. He goes, "Oh yeah, I saw you were gonna be on that show." So me and my son took a drive. I was like, "You guys drove 17 hours."
God.
17 freaking hours just to see me wear tights and fight somebody and probably insult you. Because everywhere I've gone, I've always been the heel. I've been like one of those likable heels, which is kind of annoying sometimes when I just want like the straight boos and I still get cheered because of the understandability of.
Definitely want to get into that, but yeah, I'm one of those crazy people because I live out in Long Island.
Oh wow!
So for the show next Saturday, for example.
Yeah.
I usually leave my house. I mean, I'll give you a great example. For the last Albany show, the one that was just at Empire Live back in February, I think I left my house at 9:00 in the morning. It becomes an all day. It becomes basically a 1-day trip, so to speak.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Because I'll end up being the type of guy. Because I've had a few people already who've said to me, "Oh, you're going up to Albany? Why don't you just get a hotel?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I'll just make the trip back the same day. I've done it hundreds. I've done it 20 times now. I'll do another 100 times." Going further, and honestly, I love it for the reason of once you get past like Mount Vernon and that area, and you're straight on the thruway, you're in a totally different. It seems like you're in another country almost.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it because I'm a crazy pro wrestling fan, but I'll go and watch independent wrestling. But then I'll also look at it as, I'm coming as a fan. But then like I'll sit there and I'll be like, okay, the match was good. Here's where I would have maybe done a little thing different to make it better. So to speak. Not I don't say that because I'm a nitpicker type thing. Like I don't nitpick every single match.
Yeah.
But as a fan who's been watching this long enough now, if I see a match and I see a spot, I see a part of the match where I'm like, okay, why, how do the dots connect from point A to point B on that one?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I've done the same thing where I'm like, wait, why? Who am I to freaking complain? Like, I'm pretty sure I've done it once or twice, but I get it. It makes no sense, and you figure it out. But like, wait, none of this step A to B. You just went A, B, F, G, D. Yeah.
Like, I'm very big in storytelling. I've been preaching that on this show for probably as long as the show's been on the air. And I will go to an independent wrestling show. And then, when I do a live show that following week, I will sit there and say, I will usually say, what my match of the night is, but then I'll say what the weakest match is. And I never say the match is weak because of the wrestlers.
Yeah. The structure.
Unless it's blatant that the wrestler, a lot of times I've always said if you get a weak match, it's usually because it's between two matches that the energy level's at a 10.
Mm-hmm.
And, with storytelling, that's, like I said, that's my biggest thing. And this kind of leads into what I want to do now, which was your match you had with Sergeant Fury back at the October Dynasty show.
Yes.
How did that match come to fruition, and how important was that match for you?
Oh man, Jim was a great guy. Pretty much family. As we've stated, and as Dan mentioned in the video, and as if you've seen the match, midway through it, I began to tell the story where I had a barbecue and Jim came over, and then Dan showed up like maybe about half hour later, and started kind of like to rain a little bit. We were just sitting there eating meat, just talking, hanging out, and Jim is just sitting there with a plate of food, and the chair just breaks, and my man just drops, but keeps trying to eat. And it's memories, that you're building with people. We've sat down to watch the fireworks on 4th of July, and he was a real big part of us and wrestling. He was like that big brother, and he was in Dynasty. Me and him, he and I never got to like cross path to wrestle each other, but I would like shoot little promos on him, just bullshitting and calling him a regular sized Jim because everybody was all big Jim, and I was like, hey, you ain't big. Guy was like another foot taller than me, and I'm like, nah, you're regular sized, buddy. I'm just too short, or everybody's too short, blah blah blah. And when Chris won, everybody, a lot of people, where company where Jim was at, were doing little benefit shows, whatnot, and Chris wanted to do a tournament, the Big Jim tournament, like how I guess WWE has the Andre the Giant Memorial. Have something that we could do every year and have it have a meaning, not just some the Dynasty winner and the trophy would be some cliche of, oh, you cash in the trophy for stupid chance for the title. It was something more. It was remembering someone who was family, who'd show up and have laughs with us, and he cared about people. So when Chris was putting the matches and stuff together, Dan apparently wanted me because we've shared stories, time on the road, at home, personal with Jim. And I mean, I could have wrestled. I'm not being a jerk or anything about it, but I could have wrestled anyone else, not cared about it. But having the match for the trophy with Dan kind of meant A little bit more. I was giddy. I was nerve wracked. I felt like I had one opportunity, let's say, in front of Triple H, where it was like, impress me in 2 minutes or get the hell out of here. But it was with my friend, and I was nervous. I wanted to make sure we had a good match, but I also wanted to beat the shit out of him because that's my friend. So we were talking, and we're like, all right. And I told him, I was like, I'm bringing a crowbar. I hope you know this. And you know, we put it all together. But the match, the feelings, I don't feel like I would have had as much as fun as if it was with someone else. You know, with Dan, I was able. It was more emotional than, you know, just all right. This is a match for a cup. All right, I want to win it, or you know, whatever it is. It was arguing over who the hell would even win. We didn't care about it. We wanted to go do it for Jim. We wanted to go out there, beat each other up, have the fans, you know, go home happy with it, but ourselves put out something that we know if he was sitting there, he would have been proud of it.
And I remember seeing that match, and it was a very good match. I thought you two, between you and Dan, you guys told, or Sergeant Fury, let me use, you know, his ring name.
No. You can go with Dan because under his words, where the match was Dan and John, not Sergeant Fury and High Voltage Omar. So I give you that permission, and if he says anything to say about it, you tell him that I personally told you that you have permission for this little match conversation. It is Dan, because it was Dan and John out there. It wasn't High Voltage Omar. I went out there, no character, man. I was just ready to have fun with my friend.
I will say this much. So is it safe to say then that even though it wasn't like a title match per se, that was one of the bigger matches in your career? Was that match?
Oh yeah, definitely on my top 5.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Now you said you've been in this industry now for about, you said 20 years or so,
Yeah.
give or take.
Yeah, a little bit more now, but yeah.
It's been a while.
I've been here.
What is your favorite match that you, and I know we just talked about the match you had with Dan, but what's the match that when you look back on your career that you're sitting there going, okay, I'm glad I had this match? Is it the match with Dan, or is it a bigger match that you had?
So it's another Dan, and it was NYCW. It was for the championship. We had, I don't know if you've heard of the Nachis. Yeah, Dan Nachi and Frank Nachi. So they're relatively new. They when we started NYCW, these guys were new, and I was a fan of theirs, just watching them, you know, with their little saucepan and, you know, stirring the sauce, whatever. It was always fun. And Patches was asking me kind of, it was weird for me. I'm not used to someone, like I said, with the whole Chris thing, asking me who do I want to wrestle. To me, when I show up to a promotion, it's what the promoter wants, what the promoter tells me. He tells me I'm winning this match, I'm winning. He tells me I'm losing, I'm losing. I don't complain unless it's just kind of dumb or something. But I've never really had an issue with someone with that. But he Patches was going down a route that I just looked and I was like, nah. I was like, give it to him. I was like, let him. I was like, I kind of want to wrestle him. And Dan was nervous as hell. He's a tag team wrestler. He's never had a singles match. And we went over the match, you know, and he was nervous. And I'm there with a smile. I'm like, nah, you got this. I'm just like excited. I was like, this dude's like 7 foot tall. And I'm like, oh, we're going to have fun out there. We're definitely going to, you know, play to the whole short and tall thing. I was like, we're going to have fun. I was excited. He, like I said, was nervous throughout the whole entire match, but it was fun. You know, he kept a cool mind, was able to do everything right and whatnot. But right towards the end of the match, this guy, like I said, I'm exaggerating saying 7'8", but he's a tall guy. no matter where you are in the ring trying to throw this guy, he's already halfway in there. So I go to throw him towards the ropes. Before I could even let go of him, he was already back, knocked me out for like a good 10 seconds. I was just sitting there, I didn't know what the hell was going on. The ref looked at me and I was like, I need to breathe. And I mean, we got up. He was scared as shit, and I'm like, no, no, no. I was like, we're good. Let's finish this thing. And he was just nervous about it. And every time, like some people would ask me about it, I was like, I really had fun that match because I got to feel that. And I don't know if everybody, but that veteran who has someone who's like nervous to go up against them, like they don't wanna ruin the match. I've always been that person. Oh, I don't want to ruin this match. I want to make sure I have a good match, not just for myself or the fans or the person I'm wrestling with, depending, what we're doing. So with that match I had with him for the championship it was fun as shit. Like easily someone will ask me, I'll send them that link. I'm like, yeah, watch this one. This one was kind of fun. Nothing majorly crazy, but it was fun.
No, and like I've seen him wrestle before. He was good. I can only imagine that match. I'll have to look that match up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And watch it. But no, John, my last question for you is this. I got two more questions. You said you've been mainly a heel in your run. Do you ever see yourself being a babyface?
I tried, and for me, when I look at myself and I look at the baby faces you see on TV, like it's not to me it's a connection thing. With Dynasty, we've tried it before and no one really was like kind of behind me. And NYCW, it happened naturally out of nowhere where it worked. I wouldn't mind. It's just everywhere I've been, it's always been, oh, you're the heel, you're you're the relatable asshole, you're the guy who's been defeated, held back, and decided, no, I'm doing it this way, I'm doing it my way. I had one thing that makes it hard, at least for me, is looking for the sympathy, trying to get the sympathy from the crowd. I'm not big on it. I'm not big on getting the shit kicked out of me and then looking for that sympathy. I'm more of I'm gonna fight my own battle. But as I said, the opportunity arises or something like that happens, I have no problem. It's just, figuring out what the fans will like to make them actually get behind, the character.
Oh, I totally get that. Last question I got for you is this. I've been seeing a lot on Facebook, this wash your gear picture. What's the story behind this picture? I mean, I get the point of the message you're trying to get, but is there a story behind it?
All right, so I'm not gonna call out the guy to be respectful, I guess, on some sort of level. But I was in PAPW in Connecticut. And at this time, we were all getting changed in the back of a freaking 18-wheeler. No nice way to put it. We're all just in there, bags changing, and my opponent was next to me, and I just kept smelling something funky, and then I just kept smelling something weird. I was like, I'm gonna go outside. Maybe it's just a lot of dudes in here. Someone's got some funky knee pads or something. I was like, I don't know. I go outside and I start talking to said opponent of mine, and we get into some sort of a hold. And I was like, oh, homeboy stinks like shit. And if you could talk to any promoters on any shows I've ever been on, I've always been respectful. I've never complained about a match I've been in. I've never complained about an opponent. I've mainly sometimes would ask why this one or whatever, but I went up to the promoter and I looked at them and I was like, no, hell no, I'm not doing this shit. And they're looking at me, they're like, what? And I told them about, a certain person and how they smell like shit. And I was like, I am not getting in the damn ring with that. I was like, I don't know if they have an issue and I'm being unsensitive, like some people have some issues with their sweat glands or whatnot, and it's just a natural thing about them. I don't know, but this shit was raunchy and disgusting, and I was having nothing to do with it. And ever since then, it was always my thing because I also late tag partner Ty Shine, who pretty much looks like me, always had funky knee pads. So I was always telling people, yo, I was like, wash your gear. Like, I do not want to get in the ring with someone who stinks. So it happened a joke a few times. I've used it while in the ring, like some sort of catchphrase or something. And it built up to a little bit more where a fan actually made the picture for me with the wash your gear, and then I inserted myself into like the background of it. But yeah, it's been a whole thing of who I am. I'm not down with the funky shit, which is just kind of funny. A lot of people would message me before talking about how insensitive I am and how I'm a jerk for telling people, to clean up and whatnot. And I was like, all right, you go on a date, you want somebody to be funky? No, I get in the ring, I get it. We're gonna get sweaty and nasty, but I'm not trying to sniff your ass before we even get in the damn ring. I don't care if you're a ref. I don't care if you're an announcer. I don't care if you're the promoter. I don't care if you're just a guy setting up the damn ring, whatever. Wash yourself, wash your clothes, wash your ass, and just wash your gear. Just keep clean. We got enough germs going around this damn world. Just wash yourself.
That's like, I know, with all these, with all the conventions happening, the joke has always been said, that wrestling fans can afford, $400 for a replica belt, but can't spend $4 on a thing of deodorant.
Deodorant stick, yeah, man. I just did a video the other day, man. I don't care if you're using baby powder, using one of the Rolly sticks, or using whatever the hell, man. Just use it. I had somebody was telling me something about, I use deodorant, and I was like, all right, but do you even shower? Just because I didn't want to stay quiet about it, I was like, damn, bro. I was like, all right, you use deodorant, cool. Deodorant can only mask so much. I don't know. Maybe I am being a jerk. I have no clue.
No, you're not, because I mean, I'll admit, at one point, and this goes back many, many, many years ago, I used to be that type of person who would douse myself with Axe body spray. I'm going back, like, I just turned 31 a couple weeks ago, so I'm going back to middle school days. So I'm talking like early, like middle 2000s.
Yeah. That's that teenager shit, man. No one wants to take a shower.
Now it's like I can't get moving until I hop into a shower, because then at least I know, I may not smell like a GQ model or look like a GQ model, but at least I know I don't smell like the inside of a locker room.
Yeah, man. It's just tough, man. It's tough in this business. I get it. We sweat, we get funky or whatnot, but your clothes coming out of your damn bag should not stink.
Quick PSA I just want to mention on here to anybody who's watching this: if you go to a wrestling show, put on deodorant. It's not that expensive.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, please and thank you.
Please and thank you. Deodorant goes a long way.
I greatly appreciate you hopping on with me tonight.
Actually, yeah, man.
One last thing I want to get to, just down to me. When do you think we will see you again in a Dynasty ring? Because I know it's been I think since October, since the first show.
Everyone keeps asking me, man. Everyone. So I don't know. It's rough. I did the whole retire or whatnot, just having bad knees, needing time to heal up and spend time with family. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been very enjoyable not having to worry about, as much as I'll miss like the shows and the guys and doing it right now, I can't really even give an answer. I have other promoters messaging me about getting me on shows, and it's just been difficult. I'm at a point right now where I'm not sure where I'm leading. Do I still have it? Do I still want to? Do I just want to kick back and relax before I'm the guy, who's 40 and can't sit down or stand up without having some random back spasms, or can't walk upstairs or chase after my kids because knees are shot. I'm still in the process of, figuring it out. That's a tough one to answer. I had a lot of people, like I said, tell me I'm not done and I still got more, or I haven't had a proper last match. Which, if you think about it, I guess I never really had a proper last match. My last match was with Dan, and it was a hell of a match. I feel like it was a good match to go home on and be like, all right, I did good. But as Chris pointed out, and a couple other people, I have never technically had a last match. So,
Hey, who knows?
who
Maybe that will
who
happen.
knows? Anything can happen.
I
I still promote their stuff. I still share their posters. I've had people ask me, "Oh, are you going to be at the Water of Elite show? I see you sharing the poster." I'm like, "Listen, I'm just helping out. That's how you support. You like their stuff and you share it. Anytime I see it, I just share it. The more
exactly.
people can see it, the more people will show up and enjoy the show. Whether I'm there or not. That really shouldn't matter."
Exactly. And John, like I said, I appreciate you hopping on with me tonight greatly. I just want to let you know the door is open for you anytime you'd like to come back on.
Hey man, I
You're more
appreciate you having me. It's been fun. The first podcast I've done in about like 2 years. So, yeah.
I'm glad you had fun. Anything you like to promote, go right ahead. And where can the fans connect with you on social media?
I mean, they could connect with me on Instagram, High Voltage Omar. They can Facebook, and besides that, if you want to, because I know most people have seen, I have put some of my personal art on my merch table. If you go on Facebook or Instagram and you put art by Omis, it should pop up. So if you're a fan of any type of art, cartoon, anime, spray paint stuff, feel free to go give that a like and follow. But besides that, you'll mostly find me on my wrestling page sharing a couple, dumb shit every now and then besides shows.
Well, like I said, John, thank you so much for hopping on. For High Voltage Omar, I'm John. This has been Around the Ropes, YouTube exclusive. We'll catch you guys next time.
All right.